Hello again, Struck Club. Today I'm bringing you March's edition of the monthly Struck list for high profile games, heavy hitters, big massive titles that everyone has been awaiting. So what are the heavy hitters, the AAA titles, the high profile games for this month? Well, we've got shooter wooters, we've got wrestling games, we've got a Final Fantasy title coming up. We've got ELEX, which I included in February's video, even though it's a March 1st game. We've got a new Siberia and a new Shadow Warrior, as well as what could possibly end up becoming the next Godfall, Babylon's Fall, and it might end up becoming just as little popular as Godfall is and fail to retain its player base, or it could become the next best Wooter game. We'll see how that goes. So without further ado, let's go, starting with the game I like the most and then move on to the games based on the release date. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It is no secret that I've been anticipating this game, and probably a lot of you as well, since they first announced it. It's here, almost. We've got kind of like 25-ish days until the game is out, March 25th, 2022. Developed by Gearbox, published by 2K Games, this is a game that has a lot to be excited about. For example, the multi-class system. There are 6 classes. The Berserker, which is kind of contrary to what normally Berserkers are associated with, which is fire. This one is frost-infused bruiser, so pretty solid. Then you have a Quobringer, faithful warriors who bring down thunder and flames upon their enemies with a spectral hammer alongside their fire-breathing wyvern companions. So there's 3 companion classes as far as I understand it. Graveborn. Death-touched acolytes, they use devastating dark magic and become phantasmal reapers of bones, accompanied by their manic demi-lich companions. So this is the second companion class. Then there's the spell shot, gun-toting wizards who can unleash a constant barrage of spells and bullets and transform their enemies into harmless livestock with the snap of a trigger finger, with the snap of a trigger finger. Then Spore Warden, masters of nature who summon tornadoes and launch volleys of arcane arrows into enemy lines alongside their toxin-spewing mushroom companion. This is the third companion class. Then there is the Stabumancer. The Stabumancers are sneaky, critical hit-focused assassins who summon magic whirling blades to the battlefield and disappear into the shadows at will. So you have the Stabby class, you have the Spin-to-Win Berserkers, you have a Necromancer kind of style class with companions, and you have a Quobringer with companions, you have a Spore Warden with companions, you have the Spell Shot, and it's nice. And considering the multi-class system where you choose one class, but eventually as you grow stronger you gain access to a multi-class system that adds a new secondary class slot, opening up a world of unique character builds. So yeah, you have one class and then up to 5 second classes for this class. Which is super solid choice, being able to take any class as a subclass eventually. Each class is defined by a class feat, 2 iconic action skills to choose between, and a skill tree loaded with passive abilities. And since it's a Borderlands spin-off, there's gonna be a ton of guns and a ton of builds, a ton of things to do. How balanced it will be, whether it will be the top 1% of builds only can run certain content or not, depends to be seen. It remains to be seen. What I'm really looking forward to is something that was missing in the Borderlands 3 game on launch, and this is a rerolling system. So if you get an item with stats you don't like, you should be able to take items you don't need, turn them into materials, and reroll the stats on this item. And what I also hope they have that Borderlands 3 didn't have, I think even with the patches, I don't know about the latest patches, but the first patches didn't include it. That's a system that lets you level up items from level 1 to max level. Let's say the maximum level is 50, and then 6 months later there is a level cap increase to 53. Well, you should be able to take the level 50 item and make it into a 53, because you wasted your time farming that item if that item ends up becoming useless 6 months later because the level cap is increased, and you've farmed for that item with the min-max stats on it. And again, hopefully they solve this by giving us a system that lets us level up items from one level to the next by sacrificing some materials and currency. This was missing from Borderlands 3. It was one of the main reasons why at the first level cap increase I stopped playing, as well as the ruined Mayhem system. I like the original one with the 3 Mayhem levels, not the new one that they made after that. But the game is there for everyone to try. March 25th. The one good thing about this as well is that they are not greedy. The base game is 60 euro, where some of the other games in this list you see today cost more for the base game and even more for the best edition. The best edition here is called Chaotic Great Edition. There is a middle edition between the two that's only for consoles, but for PC there's the regular and then the Chaotic Great. And the Chaotic Great Edition is let me check, 80 euro, I think. It should be 80 euro, or actually even 70 euro. Something like that. Whereas some of the other games have 109 euro editions for their best editions, and it's a little bit too much if you ask me. With the Chaotic Great Edition you get the full game with new next-gen optimizations for the PlayStation 5 and Series XS. You get Dragon World Pack bonus content, which is cosmetic only, and you get Season Pass, which includes the Bud Stallion pack and 4 post-launch content drops, which is pretty solid. And yeah, the Chaotic Great Edition again is not overpriced like some of the other companies do. And I really like that they're not overpricing things. So I will be making more content for this game. We've already talked enough about it. Let's move on to the next title. ELEX or ELEX 2. Developed by Piranha Bytes and published by THQ Nordic, a single-player open-world action RPG with aliens, mutants, and warring factions. It's a sequel to the vintage open-world RPG ELEX or ELEX, and Jax must once again unite the free people of the science fantasy world of Magawan against a new threat, the Skylands, who want to change the face of the planet forever. There's jetpacks. Improved jetpack system. There's a ton of areas to explore, and in general the game is currently discounted, but it ends on the 1st of March, which is when the game releases. So instead of €49.99, very good price for a base game, you pay €44.99. Again, in regions the price will vary. But yeah, the game allows you to explore the planet of Magawan with unprecedented freedom using your trusted jetpack to traverse the map and even fly. You can interact with a lived-in world full of unique NPCs who will remember what you've done and react accordingly, who will join you or leave your group depending on how you behave. As well, they're able to be killed, which will have effect on the story. You can engage in fluid close and range combat with a massively improved control system, which was one of the big problems with the first game. The combat seemed a little bit clunky. Hopefully this improvement really makes it a more enjoyable experience for an action RPG game. Then you can experience the story where your actions have consequences, immersing you in a world of moral decisions. Huge handcrafted, completely unique world with multiple factions and diverse environments set in a post-apocalyptic science fantasy universe. What more do you need in a game like that, made by the people who created the Gothic game, if I'm not mistaken, the Gothic franchise. So yeah, it's almost there. March 1st, ELEX or ELEX 2. Next we have another sequel, or trequel maybe, Shadow Warrior 3 by Flying Wild Hawk Games, who you might know from games like Evo West, Trek to Yomi, and a bunch of other things like that. Also the Shadow Warrior franchise, as you know, it's theirs. They have a bunch of games behind them. So hopefully you know them. If you don't, well, you should. They're a nice studio that definitely knows how to make shooters. Action adventure FPS shooter, and it's very beautiful, and the pleasantly disgusting enemies are plentiful. Shadow Warrior, another game that's very well priced, $44.99 for the base version. The pre-purchase for the deluxe edition is $54.99. And you can even buy the trilogy and get 10% off on the whole trilogy if you feel like it. More about the game. It launches the offbeat first-person shooter series to the next level with a seamless blend of fast-paced gunplay, laser-sharp melee combat, and a spectacular free-running movement system. Devolver Digital are the publishers, and when you pre-purchase you get some sort of special katana. I think it's a skin, but maybe it's not. And when you get the digital deluxe you get the original soundtrack. You get the Dragon Boot weapon skin, which is different than the other one, I think, yeah. And you get that skin for your trusted SMG sidekicks and the Dragon Tail Katana, and you get an official art book. The game is in new feudal Japan, there's funny business going on everywhere, you can execute then annihilate, and there's fancy footwork with the free running parkour kind of stuff. So yeah, you bring a katana to a gunfight, but that's not to say you don't use guns as well, and the game is almost here, March 1st, 2022, Shadow Warrior 3. The next title in the list is Babylon's Fall. This game could become the next Godfall and fail to retain a stable and big enough player base shortly after launch, or it could become the next best thing in the world of Wooter games, cooperative action RPG wooters. This game is kind of greedy in terms of pricing. Maybe it's because the publisher is Square Enix, maybe the budget was too big, but the regular pre-purchase is €69.99, and the digital deluxe, the Fall Digital Deluxe Edition, Babylon's Fall Digital Deluxe Edition, is €109.99. You get a bunch of costumes in that edition. I'll talk more about it in a moment, but let's just mention it. And it gets the standard edition, including in the deluxe edition, the Gideon attire pack, the Zoo attire pack, Legatus wing cape, and Arcantus frontlet accessory. And here is something that I think is interesting. Originally the plan was actually not for that. The original plan was for that digital deluxe edition to have a different pricing. It was supposed to be $99.99. Just a moment, I'll show you. And here it is on your screen, something from one of the developer videos. And originally, PlayStation 4 or 5 would have been $99.99 and $109.99 for the 5 and 4. So 4 was gonna be cheaper and PS5 was gonna be more expensive. And for Steam, actually that was the dollars. Let's rephrase it. So PlayStation 4 and 5 would have the same price. In dollars $99.99, in euros $109.99. And Steam was gonna be $99.99 for both editions. But they decided to go ahead and make Steam users pay more in Europe and added 10 extra euro. No idea why. Why is Europe more expensive in this way? But okay, they decided that this is appropriate. I think it's greedy, but that's how it is. So enough about that. Let's talk about what the game can offer. I mean, it's a Wooter game, as I mentioned, and it's an action RPG, again, as I mentioned. But what makes it different than the other games? Well, Not much, but still, you can play up to 4 people, you and 3 others, and you can take on the Tower of Babel. After the Babylonians perished, only their great tower of Ziggurat remained. Now a new empire has come to pillage its ruins and uncover its fabled treasure. Most of us don't play those games for the story, we play them for the end game, and that's probably what's gonna be happening with this game, and that's where the battle passes come. There's a free battle pass and a paid battle pass. As far as I understand it, everything in the paid battle pass is cosmetic. You will get a bunch of skins, some currency if you pre-order and stuff like that, and that currency you use for skins as well. And you have certain types of end game, or not end game, but just in general content. You have skirmishes, you have sieges, you have gauntlets, and you have duels. And there is also the garage store, which is where you get cosmetics. So I'm not gonna go into details. If someone is interested in me making more content, leave a comment and I'll make more content for this game. I'm on a limited budget. I can't afford to buy the game, considering I'm buying Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and from all of those games I can only afford one a month. So I wish I could play it and I wish I could tell you more, but I can make some content based on what's on the website if someone doesn't feel like reading. We'll see. Definitely it's interesting. You have quad wield, you have endless customization apparently. It's fluid co-op, and I think this game has potential. Hopefully they don't ruin it with bad balancing and with lack of quality of life and shitty itemization, like Godfall. Now here comes another title that's a little bit expensive when it comes to the special editions. WWE 2K22, the wrestling game. A redesigned engine, new controls, all the features you can handle get ripped out of the stands and hit with complete control of the WWE universe. Hitting this hard has never been so easy. WWE 2K22, it hits different, and that's what they say on Steam. So €59.99 in my region for the regular version. The deluxe edition is €99.99, and then the New World Order NWO edition €119.99, a whopping €120 for a special edition. Coming out on the 11th of March, developed by Visual Concepts, published by 2K, which is the Borderlands, Wonderlands publisher. And yeah, this apparently has a bunch of skins in the special editions, so the standard edition is reasonably priced, so you might as well just get that one if you're new to that franchise. I've never played the new WWE games. I used to play some of the older ones on the older consoles long ago, probably like 20 years ago maybe. So I've no idea what to expect, but the trailers look impressive in terms of combat and visuals. So yeah, WWE 2K22, 11th of March 2022. The next game on the list is something I'm also very excited about, and I wish my budget would allow me to get it, but it won't, since I'm getting the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands game. This is Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. So this is a Final Fantasy, maybe not a spin-off, but a prequel, where you would be fighting the very first Final Fantasy villain. The game looks amazing, visually, fluid combat, fluid animations, it just looks beautiful. The combat seems perfect, just the way you want it, and there is a co-op feature. You can play with other people. I think there was 2 more people, if I'm not mistaken. So the pricing is good, €50 for the base edition, at least in my country, and 75 for the digital deluxe edition. And what is nice about this game is that they seem to have better itemization than some of the other Final Fantasy games. It's not just get the next grade of gear and wear it. You have different stats and affixes and you can make builds. In terms of battle, you have Soul Burst, Soul Shield, instant abilities, Wallbringer, Guard and Dodge and Break Gauge and action abilities. In terms of basic jobs, there's Swordsman, Mage and Pugilist. And then there's advanced jobs like Red Mage, Berserker, Samurai. There's this online multiplayer experience co-op play in a group of up to 3 players through online multiplayer mode. In this mode, equipment and other items will drop for each player to loot individually. Obviously it's 2022, you couldn't have it any other way in such a game. In terms of difficulty options, there's hard, action and story. And for story, they're saying it's for players who don't usually play action games, allowing them to enjoy battles and the story. And it says make it even easier to play by turning on casual mode. Does it mean that they're referring to story as casual mode, or is there something even easier than story mode? And then there is crafting. You obtain equipment by defeating enemies, opening treasure chests, etc. And the same piece of equipment can have different job affinities or special effects. It could be well worth your time to take on a mission multiple times in the search for rarer equipment. Then you can upgrade the equipment at the smithy. Materials can be used to add or upgrade your equipment special effects, customize your equipment to suit your job and fighting style, which is pretty solid. Again, this is what we need in modern day JRPGs. Modernized looter system rather than an old school get the next gear, use it, next grade gear, use it, next grade gear, use it. You can dismantle equipment to obtain materials, and yeah, if you don't need it, use it to upgrade your favorite gear. And again, this is probably the game, the Final Fantasy game I've been the most excited to play recently. Mostly because of the itemization system, which was always a weak link in modern JRPGs, because it wasn't modern. So it's coming out very soon. The 18th of March 2022 for Epic Store only, maybe later Steam, not sure about that. PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox XS One. The final game of this list is not that heavy hitter of a game, but it is still a popular franchise. Maybe the new gamers might not know it, but this is Siberia, The World Before. And I think this is the third or maybe fourth game in the franchise. So it's a typical adventure point-and-click puzzle game with a lot of exploration. Embark on a journey across continents and through time as you piece together the puzzles of a life. Published by Microids and developed by the original Siberia Microids studio, and this is their Paris French division. The base version of the game is €39.99. The deluxe edition right now is 10% off for $49.48, which I'm assuming it will be $54.99, something like that, when it's not discounted. I can't do the maths right now. So yeah, if you know the franchise, then you know what to expect. If you don't know the franchise, well, it's your typical puzzle adventure point and click game with an interesting story and mystery to follow and reasonably decent visuals. So I don't think there is much more to say about this game. It's coming out on the 18th of March 2022. Siberia, The World Before. To get notified when I upload more content like this one or other types of content such as build videos for looter and not so looter games, subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell button to not miss out on the notifications, and be advised that there's also something called memberships, which is a monthly recurring payment which can be cancelled at any time, that grants you special privileges such as using emotes made by me and getting a badge that shows your loyalty, as well as you support my channel and keep things going. Additionally, members can ask me in Discord for one-on-one tutorials for the Adobe Photoshop, Premiere and After Effects software, just the basics. Thanks for watching all the way until the end. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.